Oli, thank you very much. A very good evening to you and a very good evening to our viewers. Yes, a really interesting session, a late afternoon session with Minister Ronald Lamola as well as Minister Mmamoloko Kubayi. And I suppose that a lot of the focus being on the Justice Minister and the Minister responsible for constitutional development because of the high-profile cases that we've seen fail, get thrown out, and also a call for justice just generally in South Africa across the board. And all of these different areas were tackled by the members of the NCOP. The DA's Nicholas Gotzel actually asked whether the minister would support a constitutional amendment to have the powers to elect the National Director of Public Prosecutions removed from the president and actually given to the power of Parliament. And she said that, in fact, the president had reformed that process of hiring the NPA boss, made it more transparent, made it public, so she certainly would not be doing that. But you'll know that tomorrow Action SA are marching on Pretoria to hand her with a memorandum to actually ask for NPA head Shamila Bitoyi to be removed. And this is on the back of high-profile cases that have been thrown out on Matoso, Cholota, and when the Minister Kubayi was asked about how she's going to restore confidence because of the public outcry and the kind of criticism that the NPA is having to cop because of these, this is what she had to say.
We do take cognizance of the public outcry, and we do pay attention to what is being raised. And I think the recent one, if I may to utilize this opportunity, it came as a result of the Omodoso case and also with the extradition that relates to Ms. Cholota. I think if we look at these two cases, there are lessons to be learned out of them, and more work can be done, but support and providing in terms of oversight over some of the cases. But a lot of work is being done, and over time, where there is shortage of capacity, for example, we are able to source even external capacity to come and support the NPA. There is also a provision for Section 38 appointments by NPA, which when arrived on the portfolio, it was one of the issues that was pending. We have, together with NPA and DPP, work together to ensure that we develop a guideline of appointment of Section 38 as technical capacity for NPA and investigation. Out of those, submissions were made for 2 individuals to be appointed, and they were appointed immediately once that has been done.
So, Vaylen, the capacity issues, or should we say capacity challenges at the NPA, it would seem that the minister also filled in questions about the vacancy rate within the institution. How did she answer that question?
Yes, certainly capacity was one of the hashtags coming out of this afternoon's session where the Justice Minister Mmamoloko Kubayi was addressing members of the NCOP. And that's not just the capacity of the number of prosecutors, specialist prosecutors that are required for specialized crime, especially in the fintech space, but even those that are contracted in, but also just the capacity that those NPA officials are having to deal with that are currently employed, the workload, because there have been many reports of prosecutors, especially in the lower courts, in the regional and district courts, just being overburdened with cases. The minister went to great lengths to say that when done on a comparative level, a global comparative level, South Africa's prosecutors are not, in fact, overworked and overburdened with cases. And a couple of the countries that she made a comparison with were Italy and Switzerland. Now, perhaps not the best countries to be doing a comparison with if we have to just look at the kind of societies, maybe the content of the cases and the resources available to them. However, when the minister was pushed on this matter, she defended it and said that if any of the prosecutors do in fact feel overburdened or overworked, there are support mechanisms currently available to them. And according to the minister, when it comes to capacity within the NPA and the number of people that they actually have at their disposal to disperse all the dockets and all the cases amongst it here in South Africa, she said that they've come a long way since 2019, and while they're aiming for a vacancy rate of just 10%, at the moment they're at 15%. Here's what she had to say looking back to 2019.
The staff establishment has expanded by 34% since 2019 and has a substantially reduced vacancy rate. Though challenges remain, but the improvement in performance is a demonstration of a well-capacitated and well-resourced organization. In the current format, human capacity, the head count is 5,513 permanent employees, additional 327 appointed on fixed-term contracts, and 3,500 of this, 3,562 are prosecutors who are permanently employed, and 289 are prosecutors who are appointed on contract.
Oli, furthermore, there were questions around deliberate sabotage and blockage of apartheid-era crimes, something that the minister says a presidential inquiry is looking at. And finally, the next issue that was on the table, and perhaps a nice way to wrap up this afternoon's conversation, as well as this evening's crossing, is asked about the Zondo Commission of Inquiry recommendations and the 120 that the investigating directorates are busy dealing with. When she was asked whether there would be any interference, because there certainly is a fear of that, of any political interference, she said, I have told the NPA and I have told the investigators that I do not even want to request a single file, even though I have the ministerial powers to do so, to safeguard myself, not only so that I can build trust within the NPA so that they can know that our judiciary is free and independent to go about their work, but also so that I don't have people saying to me that I'm chasing them.
Interesting indeed. Vaylen Kirtley, thank you very much. And she's bringing us some small sound bites coming out of the security cluster ministers who were answering questions at the National Council of Provinces this afternoon.